Hey there, fellow Texans. Welcome back to the James Show, News Talk 820 FM, WBAP. I am your host, James Parker. Welcome to the, President's Day edition. Seems like a weird holiday here because my kids are off school. Are your kids off school today? I don't remember getting President's Day off when I was a kid. How many times does this come up on the James Show? How many times does this come up where it's like schools, you take off and you cancel classes for the most light and transient of causes? And it's not something like, oh, you're just figuring this out, Parker. No, you remember what it was like when you were a kid. Did you have President's Day off? Because not only do my kids have off today, they had off on Friday the 13th. Ooh. Why did they have off on Friday the 13th? No reason. Hey, if we're going to have off Monday, we might as well take off Friday, make it a whole 4-day weekend. So I got a lot of complaints about the schools coming up. But first, let's get you updated on, it's still the top story in the country. We're not going to spend a whole lot of time on it today, but you do deserve to know what's going on with the Guthrie situation.
Now to the latest in the search for Nancy Guthrie. Her daughter, Today Show host Savannah Guthrie, issued another emotional plea asking for her mother's safe return.
And I wanted to say to whoever has her or knows where she is that it's never too late. And you're not lost or alone. And it is never too late to do the right thing.
Nancy Guthrie taken from her Tucson, Arizona home 15 days ago. Investigators say they're waiting for DNA results on a glove found near the scene, similar to one seen on a man recorded on this doorbell surveillance video from Nancy Guthrie's home.
POTUS is our database, and that's the one that all the states contribute to. And if you're arrested, your DNA is in the database. However, there are other methods, and that one of them can be forensic genetic genealogy. Unfortunately, that takes a while to be able to use that.
Investigators say their focus is no longer on the family or two different men detained last week.
Well, that was brutal seeing Savannah Guthrie like that. Now, I'm not a Savannah Guthrie fan. She has been, as far as I'm concerned, one of the people who's a problem in media. But, I mean, who cares about politics at a time like this? Did you hear her voice? I mean, if you could have just seen her face, she wasn't crying. She wasn't on the verge of crying. Her face wasn't even mashed up. She's just numb. She's just been through, she's already ran through all her adrenaline over and over and over, and she just can't produce anymore. She is just done. And man, I feel sorry for anybody in that situation. Your mom's been missing for 3 weeks now. There's about a 0% chance she's still alive. And all you want is closure. At this point, whether she's dead or alive, can I just know and stop hanging in limbo? So, man, I feel sorry for anybody in that situation. Good Lord, that's got to be awful. Awful. It was so sad to see the look on her face. Like she wasn't acting there. She's just done. Brutal. So that's about all we have for you today. I'm kind of interested in what they're doing with the helicopters. I've never heard of that before. Did you hear that part? I think Monty had mentioned it there. They're flying with these helicopters in a very low pattern, trying to pick up the Bluetooth signal from her pacemaker. How horrible is that? Now, I know we don't have the resources to do that for everyone who goes missing. I don't even know how they know where to look at this point. How do you even know what parts of the surrounding areas to fly over? Someone could have kidnapped her and taken her 4 hours away, and you guys aren't anywhere near it. But I don't know. I feel like they know some stuff that they're not telling us. Clearly, they don't have it wrapped up because it's 3 weeks and we still don't have anybody in custody. We don't even have a person of interest anymore. We don't have one of the sketch artists. I mean, we had more going on with the Gabby Petito situation. Remember when that girl went missing a couple years ago? I guess almost 3 years ago now. So, yeah, that's the update on the Savannah Guthrie situation, and it's just awful. I can't spend a whole lot of time on that because it really starts to bum me out. But my first big story after that, because obviously that's the biggest story, and if you're sick of it, I don't even want to hear about it. I see what you people click on. I see what the numbers are doing on social media. I see what the numbers are doing on the websites. So you can say, oh, I'm not interested in it. Well, maybe you aren't, but most people still are. And I have a feeling that you still are. We all know the story now. We're all kind of rolled up in this. We're waiting for some closure. But I'll pass along any new information as soon as we get it. We've got so much going on. Because my first story coming back out of the break, is Wiley High School's back in the news. Do you know they're offering halal options on their menu? That's the Muslim equivalent of kosher. It's one thing I like about being a good old Baptist is we don't have any eating codes. We don't have any eating rules. Eat whatever you want at all times. In fact, we're bringing a whole bunch of food to the church after the service today, and we're going to have a potluck. I have a potluck for everything at my church. There's no eating restriction. Here's our eating rules. Eat as much as you possibly can. Get fat and sassy. Jesus wants you happy. But no, this is on top of Wiley. I think this Wiley East specifically. They have some principal who just loves to celebrate the Muslim students, and they have she has pictures of her in the headscarf, and this is where they had the table set out a couple weeks ago. I guess it was just like last Monday, where they were proselytizing and handing out headscarves and Qurans and little pamphlets. Why Islam? They're literally proselytizing for a religion in public schools. And the one thing that should tick you off about this isn't even the fact that Muslims are doing this. It's that all the people who seem to be freaked out about a separation of church and state anytime it's something Christian are dead silent. In fact, they're the ones that are pushing this. I bet you the lady in the headscarf, principal lady, is one of them. You know, these affluent white liberals are really the biggest problem we have in society. It's not illegal immigrants. It's not Hispanics. It's not our black neighbors. It's these people. A little bit of consistency would be nice because we're told that if a coach prays at midfield after a football game, after school hours, that is an intolerable mix of church and state. But you're specifically offering religious food, halal food. Well, look, you can maybe make a case that, hey, Parker, you know, this is just good for education, or they're just accommodating these people and their special needs. Okay, cool. When are we doing the Lord's Supper at Wiley East? When is she taking a picture with a cross? 800-288-9227. Did you know in Dearborn, all of the menu items are halal certified? That's where we're heading. So the first question is, should we even allow for 1 second halal foods to be on the menus at public schools in Texas? Where's all the separation of church and state people now? 800-288-9227, 800-288-9227. I'm James Parker on News Talk 820, 93.3 FM, WBAP. Should we allow halal foods in Texas public schools? I'm James Parker, News Talk 820, 93.3 FM, WBAP, your home for Markley, Van Camp, and Robbins. I say not just no, but hell no. What an absolute no-brainer of a question is that? Yet here we are. Who are these people? Who are these people that are in charge of your schools that are taking money from you? And while they fight against any semblance of your religion, your ideology, your faith, your mores, your values in public schools, they openly invite in and promote the values of a foreign religion, a foreign culture, a foreign people group that don't exactly have your best interest in mind. Look, wherever Muslims and Christians have mixed, whenever Muslims become a majority of the population, that has been a bad result for Christians, or really any non-Muslims. This isn't even a pro-Christian thing. So I'm just asking for our lefty friends who are so concerned about the separation of church and state in all other instances, where you at on this one? Because the fact that they're not speaking out, the fact that the news and the newspapers and the TV stations and the other radio stations and all these other people who are so worried about separation of church and state, when it comes to either the 10 Commandments being in the classroom, or God forbid if someone prayed or even mentioned a Bible as in any part of curriculum. The fact that you're silent on this one tells me you are just a piece of garbage, anti-Christian bigot. You understand that? I'm not here to play games with you people. I'm not going to let my country be overrun. I'm not going to let my society be overrun. The people who came before us, no matter what color they were, that we all came into this one culture. We created the greatest, most freest, most prosperous nation the world has ever known. It's not perfect, but in the human experience, this is the best we've ever had it. And you're going to adopt the cultures, the mores, and the values of people who oppress women, oppress gays. They're not exactly the most prosperous part of the planet, and they're sitting on all the oil. Look, I'm not down for cultural suicide. I'm not just going to stand by and be scared. Oh, well, look, someone's going to call you a bigot. So what? You're called bigot for everything. It means nothing anymore. You're the bigot. You're the one who is specifically anti-Christian in all of these other facets of life. There's no consistency, and you're silent on this one. You're just an anti-Christian. I'll call it. They're the anti-Christian bigots. Here's a blogger doing the work that our media won't do. This is Ann of the West talking about halal foods in Wiley East High School and comparing it to what's already happened in Dearborn.
Okay, we need to talk about halal because they are increasingly trying to sneak halal foods into our kids' public schools. Did you know that in Dearborn, Michigan, the only option available to public school students for meat is halal certified? That means that the animals have been slaughtered facing Mecca in an Islamic ritual with Islamic prayers being said over them.
In the school menu at Dearborn Public Schools is generating a side dish controversy.
The district now serves only halal meats that are permissible according to Islamic law.
Inside Dearborn Public Schools cafeterias, students have a variety of options. But when it comes to lunch items like cheeseburgers and chicken nuggets, here at this middle school, for instance, the meat is 100% halal.
But it's not just Dearborn. Last night, Amy Meck reported on X that they're trying to introduce halal foods into Wiley, Texas schools. That's the same school district where they were just caught sneaking in World Hijab Day without letting the parents know about it. This is also the case in Portland, Maine, which began growing its Somali population less than 25 years ago. And check out the town next to Dearborn here.
We now have over 50% of our students that are Arabic and practice the Muslim religion. We had no halal items on the menu when I started in 2022, and by the fall of 2023, we decided to start adding some halal items.
I'm going to repeat, halal meat is slaughtered in an Islamic ritual with the animals facing Mecca while somebody says Islamic prayers over them. And this is how it starts. Dearborn schools are like 50 to 55% Muslim, yet now all the meat has to be halal certified. They claim that the non-halal options are not cost-effective because they can cross-contaminate the Islamic slaughtered meat. No, really, that's what they're actually claiming. And then before you know it, you've got halal introduced into every school that has even a single Muslim student, and your taxpayer funds are now being used, just like the jizya tax, to fund Islamic institutions, Islamic candidates, Islamic businesses, Islamic rituals, and to further the advance of Islam in your own country and in your own public schools.
You cool with that? Is that okay with you? You're going to work today. The government's going to come back and take 40% of what you own. And a chunk of that is going to go to facilitate, sponsor, glorify, promote, and expand the reach of ideologies and cultures that are antithetical to your children and grandchildren's existence. You okay with that? Is that cool? Is that fun? Is that nice? You want your granddaughter in a hijab? Is that what you want? It's not what I want. And I'm not even anti-Muslim. People are going to try and reduce this down to something that they can intellectually write off. Oh, that's not it at all. So I have been around Muslims and worked with Muslims that didn't make their wife and their daughters wear headscarves. They were quite secularized. They would go to Subway and they would get a cold cut combo and I'd be like, bro, Cleo, that has pork in it. His name was Khalil, but he went by Cleo. Cleo, that has pork in it. He's like, oh, yeah, I know. It's whatever. And also, I noticed, hey, you're wearing a chain. Isn't gold? Isn't that haram? The opposite of halal. He's like, yeah. I'm like, well, what does your religion even say about gold? They're like, well, when we die, we're going to, if we're like wearing a gold ring, it'll burn us. If we're wearing a gold chain, it'll burn. And he would explain it to me. You get in his car and it's the Quran on tape. That's how long ago this was. That whole thing. So look, I've been around it. I've been immersed in the day in the life of a secularized Muslim. Doesn't bother me at all. Those people are all welcome. The Khalils of the world, Khalil, his first and last name's Khalil, which is hilarious, but they're fine. They're not trying to force anybody to eat anything. They're not trying to force their own daughters into a headscarf. They don't beat their wives. They don't follow different set of rules. They're not trying to go to Sharia court. But it is specifically the people who are trying to put your daughter in a hijab that I think you should be concerned about. Because this does not end well. Jordan, Will's Point, you're on WBAP. Hey, Jordan.
Good morning. This is garbage. It is being rammed down our throats. We are not an Islamic country. When this country wakes up and says, hey, we're no longer a Christian country, it's going to be too damn late.
What do we do about it, Jordan?
I have no idea.
Well,
I truly don't.
Oh,
I got all kinds of stuff floating around in my head that says, hey, let's just walk on in there and tell them to get the hell out.
Here's the deal, Jordan. The reason why I bring that up is because they know what to do when a Christian offends them. They know what to do when someone on the right offends their delicate sensibilities. They get them fired. They make a fuss. They protest. They harass. They go outside their house. Look at what they're doing with ICE right now. We're just decent people. What are we going to do? Follow around the principal and give her a hard time until she changes her mind? No, we're not terrible people.
And that's the thing. That's what they understand. They understand that force is force. And force, we will reckon with force when it becomes personal, not just geographic in nature, but when it becomes personal, when they start attacking our children. Look at what's going on in Europe. Rape culture is now prevalent, and it is accepted. It's one of the things. Mess with it. It's culture.
Well, okay, and I'm going to talk about that next because there was a good clip from Antonin Scalia, the former Supreme Court justice. And this is from 2006, where he's talking just exactly what Jordan and Will's Point was saying. This is a cultural thing. This is a cultural battle. And, we can have diversity within normal bounds, but not diversity that is breaking the norms of society that created this country. And he'll explain it a lot better than I just did. Antonin Scalia's explanation next. Are you okay with halal foods, with Muslim foods, being in Texas public schools? Because they are. 800-288-9227, 800-288-9227. I'm James Parker on News Talk 820 and 93.3 FM WBAP. Should halal foods be allowed in Texas public schools? Because some schools are already doing it. I'm James Parker, News Talk 820, 93.3 FM, WBAP. And yeah, so Wiley East High School now offering halal options on the menu. I contrasted that with a report from Dearborn, where they started doing this about 6 years ago. And then everything today in the public schools in Dearborn, Michigan is halal certified. Only half of their students are Muslim. So the other half just have to eat halal whether they want to or not. They don't get the option anymore. You see how this works? Just remember this whenever somebody brings up Frisco and the amazing change in demographics over the last 20 years, where it went from 2% Indian to 33% Indian. Why is that such a big deal? Well, because it ain't going to be Frisco anymore once they're more than half the population. Don't you like this society we've created? Don't you like America? Don't you want your kids to enjoy it too? Because everywhere else this has happened, it did not work out well for the succeeding generations. Now, another reason why some people confuse diversity with just cultural suicide is this whole diversity is your strength idea. You know, I am indifferent toward diversity. Absolutely. Diversity can be a strength. It can also be an absolute terrible idea. When you're hiring a staff for a daycare, you don't want a diversity in thought on whether or not it's okay to diddle children, do you? Or whether or not it's okay to show up to work drunk or all kinds of. No, you don't want it. You want a specific group of people who share some values that are perfect for that job. Diversity is not your strength when you talk about, well, let's have people who work here who do and don't wet their pants. No, I would like to live in a 100% free of pee pants work environment. And I'm using absurd examples here just to not get anybody offended so I don't bring up religion or politics or anything. But diversity, look, I mean, I guess it can be a strength in some instances, but usually it's just an indifferent thing, because I'm not complaining that the people coming over here are a different color or they have different eye colors or they dress different. I'm here because they have different values. I'm not judging them by the color of their skin. I'm judging them by the content of their character and the content of the character of the society which they're trying to bring here and they're not assimilating. Antonin Scalia did a much better explanation of this. He was on a roundtable on C-SPAN for some book show. This goes back to October 5th, 2006.
Diversity alone is not what makes a great nation. I mean, diversity alone makes some of the tribal societies of the world that never quite make it, such as some of the places in the Middle East where we're trying to establish nationhood. As I said earlier, it's part of our tradition that everybody can be an American. But there has been a common culture. Yeah, you don't have to belong to it, but there has been that. And
what is it? What is it? What is it?
Well, okay, you want to know what it is, number one? Okay.
Is there a bond? Is there a common culture?
I think, let me tell you a story. My junior year of college, I studied in Switzerland, and I used to get really annoyed when the French-Swiss professors I had would refer constantly to les pays anglo-saxons, the Anglo-Saxon countries, meaning England, the United States, Australia, New Zealand, okay, Canada. And I said, hey, my name is Scalia, and I'm as American as anybody. Look at this face. Is this an Anglo-Saxon face? I had never been in England, but at the end of my year, I went to England, and I felt at home. There is no doubt that American culture, American common culture, which nobody has to belong to, originates with English culture. And that includes Shakespeare, it includes nursery rhymes that we all know and that we use as examples. That's our common culture. And I think the framers recognized that. And diversity's fine, but diversity does not make a nation.
This is Kim in Hillsboro. You're on WBAP. Kim?
Can you hear me now?
Yes, I can hear you now. Go.
All right. Act for America, Brigitte Gabrielle, actforamerica.org. She is from the Islamic countries when, she was born over there. And since for 20 years at least, she's been sounding the alarm. So if you go to actforamerica.org, get in touch with her. She's been in Dallas. She knows the pastor at the First Baptist Church. Glenn Beck knows her. Lots of people know Brigitte Gabrielle. And we need to tap into what she knows and let her do some guidance on this, because she was hurt as a child by Islamic people she was in hiding and that type of thing.
Yeah, Kim, I think a lot of people know Brigitte Gabrielle from the stuff that she's done on Fox News. But for those who don't, yeah, they'd probably be good to immerse yourselves in some of her videos and whatnot. But Kim, I feel like I know you. You send me emails all the time. So thanks for finally calling in. Have I talked to you before?
Yes, sir.
Okay. All right. Well, good to hear from the people, because I have a few people that are just common emailers. They see something they think I like and they pass it along. And I really love you people. Thank you, Kim.
Thank you. Take care.
All right. So something that Brigitte Gabrielle would love coming up next. I'm going to give you the disparate rape statistics from all of these countries in Europe before they imported a ton of Muslims. I'm going to give you the numbers from 2000. And then I'm going to give you the numbers from 2023, which is the latest numbers I've found. And you tell me if this is what you want for future generations, for your grandchildren and their children. 800-288-9227. Should halal foods be allowed in Texas public schools? I'm James Parker on News Talk 820, 93.3 FM, WBAP. Halal foods are in Texas public school. Are you okay with that? I'm James Parker, News Talk 820, 93.3 FM, WBAP, happening at Wiley East. Yeah, the same place that was handing out hijabs and Qurans to their kids a couple weeks ago, now offering halal options on the menu. And the thing that bothers me the most about this is the separation of church and state ninnies are silent, which means they're not really against separation of church and state. They're only against it if it's you. They're only against it if it's Christian. So now they're not secularists. They're just anti-Christian bigots. Where you at on this one? Anybody? Any of y'all want to call in and explain to me how the Ten Commandments being in the classroom has to be fought against tooth and nail with all kinds of lawsuits and harangues and protests and social media screeds? But this, silence. And I'm not worried about it because they're different or because they're brown or because I'm a racist or I'm a Nazi. Let me give you the rape crime reports from Europe. Now, in 2000, before this giant importation scam began, when the number of foreign-born or Muslim-born in the population was single-digit percent, England and Wales, in the year 2000, how many rapes did they have? 8,500. How many did they have in 2023? You want to guess? I'm obviously bringing it up so you know it went up. How much do you think it went up by? From 8,500 to what? 10,000? You think it might have doubled to 17,000? You think it might have tripled? Because so that would be what? 25,500? Wow. If it tripled in just 23 years, that's terrible. The real number, 68,000. 68. You understand that? 68,000. It went from 8,500 rapes in 1 year to 68,000. That's right at 8 times the likelihood that your daughter or your granddaughter or your wife or your sister is going to be raped is now 8 times higher in 2023 after the Muslim importation experiment in England. You want to know how well it worked out for Germany? It's almost the exact same story. Not quite as bad, but Germany didn't import quite as many as a proportion of the population. But rapes in Germany went from 8,000 to 39,000. Rapes in France went from 7,500 to 42,400. Me too, people. Where are you at? Feminists, where are you at? All the people, men are evil, toxic masculinity, my body, my choice. Where are you at on this one? You know what they're doing? They're over in Wiley putting the hijab on, putting it on your daughters. What the hell kind of sense does this make? This is insane, y'all. Poland did not allow any new immigrants from the Muslim world. How many rapes did they have in 2000? Just so you know, this isn't like a general, hey, rape went up everywhere kind of thing. No, in Poland, they had 2,400 rapes in the year 2000. In 2023, 1,100. It was actually cut by more than half over the same scenario. So from 2000 to 2023, if you import a ton of Muslims and they're now about 20% of your population, your rapes went up 8 times. If you didn't, your rapes went down by more than half. Which path are we choosing in Wiley? Which path are we choosing in Frisco? Which path are we choosing with the epic cities, with the Sharia courts, with all the other Islamic centers that are being built? We have like 100 of them that have been built in the last 20 years in DFW. This is your future. This is the future for your daughters and granddaughters. Is this what you want? You want rapes to go up by 8 times? I cannot believe the feminists sit by on this one. I cannot. I can believe the church and state people. I can believe the anti-Christian people. But feminists, this doesn't bother you? Lawrence in Fort Worth, you're on WBAP. Hey, Lawrence.
Hey, brother, thank you for taking my call. You know, it's ironic that people want to deny the obvious. We all entitled to our own opinion, but we're not entitled to our own facts. And it seems like facts don't want to come to the top of the surface because you got the people who the DEI, the people who promote the gay agenda and the illegal immigration agenda. It's ironic that these people are the ones fostering chaos, and if they keep going on, the end result is going to be civil war. Because think about it. if you stay on your side of the road and I stay on my side of the road, we don't have no conflict. But these people want to come across the road and force us to accept their way of life. And that is not going to happen. I will not accept something that's alien to my belief in God and Jesus. But these people want to take over. And it's coming to the point where we all going to have to make a decision. Right is right, wrong is wrong, and color ain't got nothing to do with it. These people are wrong, and we better stand our ground. Because if we don't stand our ground, what do we have to look forward to? That's the main question. If we let them take over, what do we have to look forward to? That's the question I'd like to put to the listening audience.
You're right. So a bunch of rapes is what we have to look forward to. The diminution of women's rights. Show me where in a majority Muslim country women have the exact same rights as men. They don't. I think there's only one country where they don't force women to wear a hijab in public, and that's Turkey. And yeah, we don't have to guess though. We've already seen what happens. I just told you what happens with like what happened in England. Rapes went up by 8-fold. But that was a good point you brought up, Lawrence. Where's the gay crowd on this one? The LGBTQ folks? You're importing people where they throw you off of buildings. And you're not fighting against it. You're welcoming it. You're putting a hijab on all our kids. Wake up. So that even tells you that these people, they're just anti-Republican. They're just anti-conservative. They're just anti-America. Whatever it is, they're just anti-you. They're just fighting you. They don't actually have a belief system or they would be pushing back against this. Thank you, Lawrence in Fort Worth. 800-288-9227. 800-288-9227. Coming up next, did you know we're in a government shutdown? Yeah, it was the scariest thing in the world back in November. Now it barely makes the news. What's going on here? I'm James Parker. It's News Talk 820, 93.3 FM, WBAP. Well, hey there. Welcome to the James Show, News Talk 820 93.3 FM WBAP. I'm your host, James Parker, living through the apocalyptic shutdown of 2026. Remember, shutdowns were the scariest thing in the world. Oh my God, how are we ever going to survive a shutdown? You know what's going to happen? Children are going to starve and families are going to fall apart and single moms are going to be kicked out in the street. They're not going to have their public housing and all these other services that the government provides that all the common people need is going to go away. Wait, what happened to all that? Remember when there was all the fear mongering about the shutdown at the end of October, beginning of November? Remember when it was the top story? The headlines were just blasting it out all over the place. What happened to that? Because we're in I hate calling it a shutdown, but I just have to use their vernacular so you know I'm talking about the same thing. But what happens? We have the exact same scenario going on where 20% of the federal government's going to temporarily work without getting a paycheck. What's the difference? The only difference is right now ICE is still funded. They've been funded through like 2027 from the One Big Beautiful Bill. So, I mean, that wasn't even an issue in November either. But what happened to all the fear mongering? What happened to all the scaremongering about the shutdown? Anyway, here's the latest update from this morning on WFAA.
To our nation's capital, a partial government shutdown is entering its third day, and there's no deal in sight. Democratic lawmakers are refusing to fund the Department of Homeland Security until Republicans agree on reforms to immigration enforcement tactics. To end the standoff, Democrats want to require judicial warrants for immigration arrests on private property, ban ICE agents from wearing masks, and require agents to wear body cameras and ID numbers on their uniforms. Officials from the Trump administration insist they will not let the shutdown stop their agenda.
Immigration mission, the reason why President Trump was elected to be president, continues.
These are common sense proposals. They're supported by the American people. Why won't Republicans go for them?
The partial government shutdown means 90% of Homeland Security workers, we're talking about TSA, Secret Service, Coast Guard, and FEMA personnel, are all working without a paycheck. It could have a major impact on the busy travel week at our nation's airports.
Oh, what? We're not. Where's the stories on the starving kids? We had that. Remember? Look, I'm just gonna go back all the way to December of last year. ABC News. I hit the right button here. Yeah, I did. It's just loading. Sorry. ABC News. Fine, don't go. Sometimes your computer does the hourglass sign at you, and if you're at your job, no one knows and you're not embarrassed. But if you're on the radio, everybody knows and you're embarrassed. So I'll load it in this other program and play it from here.
I am 34 years old and I am the mother of two boys, 8 and 3.
For Simone Wilkes, the shutdown isn't about politics, it's about survival.
My stomach dropped because I'm already struggling. I'm already stretching food.
She's one of 42 million Americans who rely on SNAP, the federal program that helps families afford groceries. But with the government shutdown dragging into a fourth week, those benefits could be cut off as early as November 1st. Food banks across the country are already seeing longer lines and shorter supplies.
Do you remember all this? This was just like 3 months ago. A shutdown was the top story because it was so terrible for everybody involved. Now it's barely getting a mention. I understand like the Guthrie case has everyone's attention. That's a pretty compelling story that's unresolved. Hey, I get it. But what happened to this? We're not worried about starving kids because it's been 3 months? Oh, okay. I get it. There's just, I don't know. Is it because there's not an election in November? Is that what's going on? So weird how it's the worst thing in the world and 3 months later barely makes a peep. What the heck is going on? Like, how dishonest is just all of the news? Because right now, like even if you want to talk about the economy in general, inflation is down. Inflation is down to its lowest levels in, I don't know, years. The GDP growth is above 4%. We have that on top of the record-breaking stock market above 50,000 for the first time. By almost any metric, the economy is doing better than it was a year ago. So how do they report that? How, if you are an anti-Trump or just completely in the bag for Team Blue media, how do you report on it? I'll show you how. Yeah, inflation is down, but the economy is still bad.
Well, inflation may be slowing down, but many Americans say their wallets are not feeling it.
The latest consumer price index showed the cost of goods is down 2.4%, which is slightly down from this time last year. Experts believe this news could boost the Federal Reserve to make some future interest rate cuts. Consumers say, though, that goods, especially groceries, housing, and gas, are still too expensive.
Because that's a big joke, because it's definitely not coming down. It's steady going up. Everything is harder.
And that's the big part of the affordability discussion, is that people really want to go back to where prices were several years ago. And the reality is we're probably not going to see that.
Analysts say they're still concerned because wage growth and hiring have tanked. Companies just aren't adding jobs right now. Also, workers don't have a lot of leverage to demand a raise to pay for these rising costs.
All right, let's go back in time. See how the media was reporting on the economy when it was Joe Biden. Because except for a few months at the beginning and a couple months at the very end, for the 3 years between, he had inflation that was higher than it is now. He had GDP growth that was lower than it is now. For the entirety of his presidency, the stock market lower than it is now. But when he was president, the economy was great.
The real story about the U.S. economy. Nobel Prize winner Paul Krugman lays out the dollars and cents for why Americans are wrong to feel so down about it.
How's the economy doing?
Well, there's the difference between how it looks and how it feels.
Right.
Actually, the economy's doing okay right now.
If you actually take a step back, the U.S. economy is strong.
The economy, by all objective measures, is doing pretty damn well.
The economy has actually been incredibly strong.
The Biden economy is great.
Yes. How does it look?
All right, I'm not sitting through all 2 minutes of that, but it's a long montage of the economy's doing great. Look, on paper it looks bad, but it feels good. And now what's the reporting? Just the opposite. Well, look, I know on paper it looks good, but it feels bad. These people just cannot stop lying to you for political purposes. This is how that they're lying about the SAVE Act. Well, women aren't going to be able to vote. You're going to have to get your birth certificate. This is voter suppression. This is voter suppression of women and blacks, women and all minorities, or maybe old people too. Oh, people who've changed their name, they're not going to be able to vote. This is just Republicans being evil. They're lying to you. Just like they were lying to you about the economy being bad now. They're lying to you about the economy being good before. They were lying to you a year ago when they said the stock market was going to crash. They were lying to you 6 months ago when they said we were in a recession. They were lying to you 2 years ago when they told you Joe Biden was sharp as a tack. Jane, Arlington, you're on WBAP.
Yeah, I used to work for the government, for the IRS. And we knew it might shut down any time. So we kind of saved up. And when it shut down, we liked it. We had a nice vacation because about 3 weeks after we went back to work, we got all the pay that we'd lost.
Yeah, okay, but it's a terrible thing 3 months ago. It doesn't even get news headlines now. How do you explain that one, Jane?
Oh, I don't know. I don't work there anymore, and I don't pay a lot of attention to it.
I meant the media, not the IRS.
Oh, the media. The media lies so much. I don't listen to a lot of that either.
Good.
I listen to this radio show because you tell the truth, but I don't listen to too much of what's being said because they lie so much.
You know, what you said actually means a lot, because there's no way I should be able to compete with all of these other outlets that have a giant staff, that have all these resources, that have all these reporters and the AP and all the cameramen and all the producers. It's just me. It's just me. And right now, Joseph's on the other side of the glass hitting some buttons, but he didn't do any prep for this show. Garrett doesn't help me gather audio sound bites or whatever. The only way I can compete with these other giant behemoth international corporations is just telling the truth. That really is the secret there. That is your incentive to constantly tune into this show, because you go see the headlines, and then if you want to know what the truth is, you come to WBAP. And we don't have to do a whole lot of heavy lifting. We just have to look at what they say, add a little bit of critical thought, and then turn around and tell you the truth. My job's actually pretty damn easy, Jane. 800-288-9227, 800-288-9227. More news on the economy next on The James Show. News Talk 820, 93.3 FM, WBAP. Hey there, welcome to the James Show, News Talk 820, 93.3 FM WBAP. I'm your host, James Parker, and on your home for Markley, Van Camp, and Robbins. You know, I started the show today. We did a Guthrie update, and then I was talking about how Wiley High School, or Wiley East High School, is now offering halal options on the menu. And then I showed you how in Dearborn, Afghanistan, in Dearborn, Michigan, all the meats in public schools are halal certified because half of the students are Muslim and they don't want it cross-contaminating. And so now even the Christians and secular and Jewish kids all have to eat halal food in Dearborn. There's no accommodations for the non-Muslims, only accommodations for the Muslims. Everybody okay with that? Well, I moved on to talk about the economy, but I'm getting a lot of emails and stuff, so I may have to revisit that in a minute just to share with you some of the response I'm already getting. But on the economic front, if you're just joining us, in the last segment, I played for you how the economy is being reported on now. And I played you a package from a news outlet. Inflation is down, stock market's up, and the GDP's up, but the economy's still bad, and people are still suffering, and people are still feeling it. And then they go get a man on the street. I'm still having trouble paying my bills. Things are more expensive. They ain't getting better. So even when the numbers are telling you the economy is good, the reporting tells you the economy is bad. And then I played you a montage of during the Biden administration, right in the middle of it, when inflation spiked up to 9%, when GDP growth stalled and actually went south for, I think it was 2022. After that, after you had the stock market wasn't doing nearly as good as it is now, still smaller than it is now, even though all the numbers were worse. The big numbers were worse. I was playing you a montage of how they were telling you the economy's great. Yeah, it looks bad on paper, but everyone feels good about the economy. Everyone? You're just telling everybody how they feel now? Yeah, and now they tell you everyone feels like this is a bad economy, even though all the numbers are good. So let's go back again in the Wayback Machine. God, I love having an Audiotron 3000. The internet never forgets. The Audiotron 3000 never forgets. I have another montage. We're going to go back to when Scott Pelley was interviewing Jerome Powell on 60 Minutes. And Jerome Powell is no big Trump fan, but this is 2019 during Trump's first term, before COVID knocked everything off the rails. This is in March of 2019. When you have, again, stock market at all-time highs, GDP going positive, no sign of a recession, and inflation was pretty much non-existent. It was like in the ones, 1-point-something%, if I remember correctly, in March of 2019. It's certainly lower than it is now, or was at any time under Joe Biden. And Scott Pelley just kept insisting that the economy's bad. Yeah, I know it's good, but doesn't it feel bad? And it just... every question.
Generally speaking, the U.S. economy is coming off a very strong year.
Record 7 million Americans have fallen behind on their car payments. Never happened before. What do you make of that?
Car sales have been quite high for a number of years.
Retail sales declined in December at the fastest pace since 2009. Are these things taken together suggesting that the system is blinking red?
There's also evidence, by the way, that spending has popped back up in January.
But the overarching question is, are we headed to a recession?
This year, I expect that growth will continue to be positive and continue to be at a healthy rate.
So 4% is something we shouldn't expect in the future.
There will be years of 4% growth.
A collapse of the financial system like we saw in 2008 cannot happen again?
Our system is vastly more resilient.
How long can it last?
I would say there's no reason why this economy cannot continue to expand.
So there's some dastardly things in there that I hear immediately that other people might not hear, just because I do so many interviews and I write interview questions and I know how to write loaded questions. Dude, you could bring just about anybody on my show and I could tank their career if I really wanted to. But that question he wrote, he asked, an economic collapse like we had in 2008 could never happen again? Now, the obvious, logical, rational answer to that is, well, of course it could happen again on a long enough time scale. Is it going to happen in the next year or in the next 5 years while we're still in power? You know, thinking that they were going to get a second term? Absolutely not. But you can't answer it like that, because then the headline will be, Jerome Powell can't rule out a financial collapse. Or Jerome Powell predicts there could be another financial collapse. They're just looking for the slightest evidence of an answer that could be misstated in a headline, still technically true. But it's not there to tell you the truth. It's there to guide public opinion. It is there to shepherd groupthink. And that's so crazy dishonest that this is on 60 Minutes. 60 Minutes is not supposed to be a politically minded show. I'm not shocked that it happened. You know, I'm just you try and wish in your head that they're a little less brazenly in their partisanship than like a Rachel Maddow or even a Sean Hannity for that matter. Sean Hannity is sort of the right-wing Rachel Maddow. You don't expect the straight skinny from him. All his news is going to be good for Republicans and bad for liberals. Totally understandable. But 60 Minutes, they're just as bad, y'all. Most of the news, what you hear, just as bad. So when the numbers are good under Trump in 2019 and now, they still tell you, oh, no, all the numbers are good, but it feels bad. During Joe Biden, the numbers were bad, but it feels good. Media's trash. You understand that? You understand how bad it is? And I'm not trying to be mean or insult anybody, but if you go back and you look at what they were reporting about 6 months ago, it's wrong. A year ago, it's wrong. 2 years ago, it's wrong. 3 years ago, it's all turned out to be wrong. Whether it's a global warming prediction, whether it's an economic prediction, whether or not if you like your plan, you can keep it. If you like your doctor, you can keep it. Repealing net neutrality is going to ruin the internet, and you're going to have to be paying for Facebook. That's what they told you 10 years ago. You paying for Facebook yet? Any starving kids from the government shutdown that happened in October? How do they get everything wrong and people still believe them for 5 seconds? I don't even know how they keep their job. So to take away from that, right now they are telling blacks and married women aren't going to be able to vote. Well, when we come back and we pass the SAVE Act and we have the midterms in November, if there isn't a big dip in the voter turnout for women and black people, are they ever going to apologize? Are they ever going to go retract it? Are they ever going to spend half as much time correcting the information that they gave you that turned out to be incorrect? Absolutely not. That's the lesson here. They lied about everything in the past. They're lying about everything now, and they will be disproven in the future. Mark it. 800-288-9227. I'm James Parker. Coming up next, we have some ICE protester. They got some audio that's going to be heard around the world. And if this goes viral, this is going to floor the midterms. I'm James Parker, News Talk 820, 93.3 FM, WBAP. Hey there, welcome back to the James Show, News Talk 820 93.3 FM WBAP. I am your host, James Parker. And something that went kind of half viral over the weekend. When I say half viral, it only went viral on Team Red accounts. Team Blue's not touching this with a 10-foot pole. And it's one of these ICE protesters that spends her time following around ICE. And whenever they pull up to a house, they start honking and blowing their whistles and warning the people inside ICE is coming. They're helping fugitives escape from justice, which is illegal. I don't know why they're not arresting all of these people. But she accidentally let the masks down for a second and told the truth. Because one of the questions you and I have been having about these people, it's like, look, even if you don't like the policy of the guy that's in the White House right now, when you're obstructing ICE as they're picking up criminals, they're picking up rapists and murderers, I don't think you're making the country a better place. If we can't agree that we need to deport rapists and murderers, we have a real problem. And so the point that they're making is, look, the ICE is bad. Doesn't matter who they're doing it against. They're violating the civil and constitutional and human rights of all. Shut up. Here's the truth. They don't care that they're stopping rapists and murderers from being deported. They're just doing whatever they can to stop Orange Man because Orange Man bad. And I know that sounds like a huge reduction, but it really is that simple.
This isn't where I live. That's fine, but this isn't where I live.
Do your parents still pay all your bills?
No.
Because I wouldn't be surprised if that's the case.
If my parents paid all my bills,
We just want to make sure you got home.
this isn't where I live.
It's okay, Olivia. We appreciate it.
You can go talk to them. This isn't where I live.
So if this is not where your vehicle's registered, you might want to look that up with their state.
It is, buddy. My address is correct on my ID and where my car is registered.
All right, so now we have the beginning of a traffic stop because she is behind ICE people and apparently has been following them, as you can tell from the context clues of the conversation. They ran her license plate. They know who she is. She's about to call a brown guy, who I guess is Hispanic, based on his accent. You can't really tell because he has like a scarf over his face or a ski mask or something. I don't know. It's whatever Drake was wearing in the Tootsie Slide video. But you can't really see his face. You can kind of see that he's brown. But when he has the accent, you know, she's talking to a Hispanic guy. She's about to call this white lady, Olivia, is about to call a Hispanic guy a race traitor. A race traitor. This is a term that you first heard on American History X. You understand that?
Okay.
Good try, though.
All right. Thanks, Olivia.
Do you feel strong or what?
We're good. Have a great day, okay?
I'll keep following you, okay?
Oh, no, she doesn't care. It's like, no, come on. She doesn't care? She doesn't care. They never do.
How does it feel to be a race traitor?
You know, we were trying to get a child molester, right?
No, you weren't.
Yes, we were.
How would you know?
Because it was a woman you talked to.
His wife.
And then his plate came back as murder.
I just want to say, calling someone a race traitor.
But you guys don't care.
I hope you realize that is the most racist thing you can say as a white
incredible.
woman.
Of course,
And
it is.
So you know, this isn't a good look for you.
You think I care about my look?
No, oh no, trust me.
When you guys
it
are-
is evident by how you look, you don't care. We get that, trust me. No, that's all I'm saying. I'm just saying this, trying to be a social warrior. If you actually cared, you probably would care about the child who got raped and also the person who got murdered by the person that we were looking for. But see, you don't care.
No, I don't care because you guys
Thank
try.
you. Thank you.
just try to detain legal immigrants. None of you actually give a.
Yeah, I cut it off because she said some cuss words. Good job for being on a TikTok video for 1 minute and 20 seconds before you cussed. That's kind of rare. But just overt racism from a white lady to a Hispanic man for doing his job. And she actually admitted, did you catch that? She admitted that she didn't care that they were going after a rapist and murderer. Didn't care. That's not what's important. I'll tell you what's important is thwarting Orange Man. That's the most important thing. So all these people who are so concerned about race, when it's a Sydney Sweeney ad or when it's the last 4 frames of a video that Donald Trump shared, oh yeah, race is the most important thing that needs to be sussed out of our society. It's just totally intolerable. But now I'm starting a collection here of racist ICE protesters. Here's one calling a black ICE agent the N-word.
So how does it feel after that control taking from the family? That's good. Make you feel good about yourself. Yeah, family should be with the fight. That kind of energy What, like we should rip people apart from their families?
Are you a man?
Wow, is that a question?
Wow.
House Sir, I need to move. Look at house KKK.
Called him a house in twice. No outcry. Spare me about the Donald Trump video about voter fraud that included a few frames from the next video. Spare me about the Sydney Sweeney ad. Spare me about anytime someone calls in or sends in an email or an Instagram message, you're a racist. Yeah, you don't care about racism. I know I'm not a racist. I do not believe people have inherent traits that you can determine based solely on the color of the skin that render them better or worse than other groups of people. You're just dishonest. You're just exploiting people's racial sensitivity to make people hate me. Nah, you don't care. If you didn't care about this, if you don't care about the ICE protesters catching N-words, being called a race traitor, then the dishonesty has been laid bare for all to see. 800-288-9227. 800-288-9227. Coming up next, The View says that if you don't like people speaking another language in your country, then you probably should learn Spanish. I'm James Parker. It's News Talk 820, 93.3 FM, WBAP. Well, hey there, fellow Texans. Welcome back to the James Show, News Talk 820 93.3 FM WBAP. Your home for Markley, Van Camp, and Robbins. Three funny guys that are about to come on in about 20 minutes, 15 minutes. So stick around for them, and then I'll be back on at 2 again. You know the common stereotype of the, flyover country, red state, MAGA hat wearing mouth breather? Speak English. If you're going to come to my country, speak English. They make fun of those people, right? What happens when the opposite happens? What happens if you go on The View and Sonny Hostin says, well, if you don't like these other people coming in and not speaking your language, maybe you should learn Spanish? Really?
It was in Spanish, and I didn't understand any of it. Well, you know what? I'm sorry. Everybody was down with the Macarena when it came out, and they were all on the Carnival cruises, and they were doing all of this, and they were doing all of this, and everybody was fine with it. I think what's so interesting to me is, this country seems to be one of the only countries in the world that is so proud of being monolingual and not being able to communicate in more than one language. And the fact of the matter is, in about 20 years, multi-ethnic people will be the majority in this country. So if you don't understand Spanish, maybe start taking a little Duolingo course.
Yeah. Hey, if you don't understand, then maybe you need to learn the language. Would she ever dare say that about all the Hispanic immigrants that come here and don't know what the heck's going on? Do you think she supports having government functions in Spanish? Do you think she supports the idea of having ballots in foreign languages? Having public education accommodate foreign languages? Do you think she's okay with English as a second language programs in public schools? Dude. How obvious does it have to be? And plus, look, there is a soft part in my heart for people who just got upset about Bad Bunny because they don't understand it. And one of my pushbacks on that is, well, look, you don't have to understand it. If you had heard that song 100 times before and it comes on the Super Bowl, it doesn't matter what language it's in. You're probably going to like it. You ever noticed that? Have you ever worked with people? Like I used to work in restaurants, and in the back, they were always playing Hispanic music. And so if you hear Tu, Yo, and La Luna 100 times at work, whenever it comes on the radio, you'd be like, oh, no, this song is cool. But it's okay for people to say they're not familiar with it and to say that they didn't like it because they're not familiar with it. That's what people said when Rihanna or Lady Gaga or whoever else was on Chili Peppers. If you don't know the music, it's not going to appeal to you. It's not a racist thing. But there's also music that's in English. Half the time you can't understand that anyway, right? Do you realize how little lyrics mean to a song? Like there's a one-hit wonder in the 90s from Space Hog is the name of the group. It's called In the Meantime. I love the song. I don't know but about 4 of the words in the song. I can't understand a damn thing this guy's saying. Remember this song here? Just
it's years of holy joy, where all the days are still to come. And if I ever say I'd never play or fly through all the sun, maybe in the meantime something's wrong.
What is this? I will give you $100 if you can tell me what he said without looking it up. Right there. I'm the. That's what I have been singing for 30 years. I still don't know the words to this song. I think there was a skies are blue in there somewhere, but he said lights are green, skies are blue. That can't be right. When all in all, it's just like you love me on you. What was that last line? Love me on you. That's all I've been singing. That's all you've been singing. The only person who knows the words to that song is the lead singer of Spacehead. The bassist doesn't even know what he's saying. Anyway, that's something I was throwing in there. I had an email here. Kim was asking, when is the next Parker's Pour? That's the monthly event. We're doing it every third Thursday. I'm going to go out. And this Thursday, it's going to be at the Whiskey and Rye Bar at the Omni Fort Worth Hotel again. And I'm told there's not going to be super packed with the cheerleader convention. This will be us. And so I'm going to be able to do some more things this time. The Whiskey and Rye Bar, the Omni Fort Worth Hotel. I'm going to do a live show from 2 to 5. If you're working until 5, I understand. Come by as soon as you get off because I'm hanging out from 5 to 7 for a happy hour. But also, we're going to do a round of trivia at 5:30. So if you're working downtown Fort Worth, you can just walk over there. Or there's a parking garage. You can valet right in front of the bar if you want. So you can come over right after work. If you're coming from somewhere farther away, if you're coming from a Dallas or a Plano or a Mansfield or a Mineral Wells, I'm doing another round of trivia at 6:30. If you stay for both, I'm going to have a prize for the first round, second round, and for combined. But we're going to add a little bit more fun to it this time around. So the Whiskey and Rye Bar, Omni Fort Worth Hotel, it's this Thursday. Live show 2 to 5, and then trivia at 5:30 and 6:30. So come hang out. It'll be a good time. Also, come back to the show. Look, Markley, Van Camp, and Robbins is about to come on. I'll be back on from 2 to 5. And I went and saw the Michael Richards show last night. The guy who played Kramer. He was at the Texas Theater, not the big one in Grand Prairie, but the one that Lee Harvey Oswald hid out in after he killed the president. And there were a couple times in there when I teared up. I'm not gonna, and I don't have like fully formed adult emotions, so that's a really bold statement. It was, don't get me wrong, it was really funny. He told some hilarious stories, but there are a couple of deeper stories that he told that I'm going to share with you on the afternoon show. So definitely come back at 2:00. Actually, you know what? Just leave it here all day. I'm James Parker. This has been The James Show. Markley, Van Camp, and Robbins is next on News Talk 820, 93.3 FM, WBAP.